I don't have friends, but you probably got one that told you, hey man, the Odyssey Maxwell, or Audeze, as I've heard it called, is the best gaming headset you can buy. And while the accuracy in audio reproduction is phenomenal thanks to those planar magnetic drivers, you see it's a frequently returned item on Amazon, check some reviews online, and see that people complain that it's too heavy of a headset for the average neck. I've been living with two versions of the Odyssey Maxwell over the last 6 months, using it on PC, console, and Bluetooth to my phone. Slightly modified. We're going to talk about a couple of inexpensive upgrades that are pretty much mandatory for this headset. And I also do want to mention a very comparable, eerily comparable, half price, not really competitor, but Sony has acquired Audeze, so there are planar magnetic drivers in the Pulse Elite headset. I ranted and raved over the original Pulse headset, which this is a substantial upgrade in every aspect, and does use very similar planar magnetic drivers at a fraction of the weight, has much more comfortable stock ear cups, better integration on the PlayStation 5, since it is meant to work with the Tempest audio engines. In this video, I want to discuss why people have commonly referred to the Odyssey Maxwell as the best gaming headset, and why a lot of others have a strong contradiction to that claim, and why I'm a little bit indifferent, but at the end of the day, I will still recommend my daily driver, the Arctis Nova Pro, as it does strike the best balance of customization on PC, ease of use on console, comfort, effective controls on the ear cup, hibbity-bibbity. A simple glance of the website will have you looking at some very expensive, generally wired, audiophile focused headsets, but they do have a few gaming models. The most common, due to its somewhat budget-friendly price point of $330 for the Xbox variant, is the Odyssey Maxwell. Now, I do recommend getting the Xbox variant even if you are going to be playing on PS5, as there is cross-platform compatibility with the lime green version if you do pick up the royal blue PlayStation version that only works on PS5 and PC. No Xbox support. I had to find that out the hard way. So as always, this video is broken into timestamps or chapters. You could jump around if you want, but I do strongly recommend, if you are looking at picking up one of these headsets, sticking around for the whole video, because we are going to cover things like customization, alternative competitors, the overall experience, because I have put a ton of ear cup time, I guess is the proper terminology, with the Odyssey Maxwell. Good all-around media consumption headset, but as far as gaming-centric headsets go, I do believe there are better competitors. Take two. That was probably really shitty for the cups. Starting with cosmetics, I gotta say this is one of the most handsome headsets on the market. Just looking at this compared to the Pulse Elite right overhead, which I think is too gaudy, flashy, and clearly designed to go with that PlayStation ecosystem, which is, you know, very console-y. This is classy, understated, kind of a little gunmetal, and this is with the stock leather head strap, which I do think feels and looks the best. I will talk about that when we get into the upgrade section. I did try out aftermarket straps, didn't really like them. Ear cup-wise, I'm getting ahead of myself. There are colored ear cups that can change up the looks. Classy. Cosmetics, literally a 10 out of 10. As for onboard controls, for its core goal of gaming, it is good, not great. There are competitors like Turtle Beach's flagship, especially on console, that make things like chat game blend much smoother. And there is no active noise cancellation, or ANC, which is a feature that I've gotten really accustomed to on my Nova Pros, as it does make a huge difference cutting out the fan noise from my PC as well as my HVAC system. Even without the microphone plugged in, which you do have a flexible, removable microphone, I would prefer if it was retractable and slid into the ear cup, again, like the Arctis Nova Pros, because that way you can't lose it. But even with the flexible mic removed, you do still have these dual, whoop, that could have been bad. You do still have these dual microphones. I really do like the mute toggle perforated switch, which even with gloves on, if you're playing a racing sim or something, you can flip this up and down very easily. Nice positive click to let you know that you did mute, which is important because there is no LED indicator on the tip of the mic to let you know that you are not hot. I mean, you're still hot, but that your mic's not on. This is going to be the power button. Once it is powered on, tapping it again doesn't do anything. This button is going to be for not noise cancellation, but microphone background noise cancellation. Think of it like a noise gate, basically cutting out your background noise from your fans. It does a phenomenal job, but it does compress your voice more, so you do sound better with it off. So if you have a quiet room, leave it off. A somewhat noisy room, put it on low. That is where I leave it at. And then high mode sounds compressed and a little bit hollow and tinny in my opinion. Quick mic check right here.
Excuse me. This is an audio test with the built-in microphone on the Odyssey Maxwell, about an inch from my suck hole. the ideal positioning for that broadcaster proximity effect. Turn that off. I had like a little foot massager Amazon thing sucking on my toes down there. This is noise suppression low. At one point in time, my life had hit an all-time low. Swing low. This is with noise suppression high. At the concert, Sally and Jimmy appeared to be very high and then looped right back around to noise suppression off, like you're probably turning off video.
USB-C cable for charging. That is one of the perks, benefits of this headset is insane battery life. Charge time's pretty damn quick as well, popping up on screen here. 80 hours of battery life, absolutely insane. You do have two infinitely spinning, scrolling toggle wheels. It is good that they are infinitely scrolling because that means that they can be used on PC to control your Windows or Mac sounds. This does work on both Mac and PC. I use it frequently on both. Clicking in the chat game blend and then using that rotator wheel will adjust your side tone, so your mic monitoring, which I personally hate. Double tap that again. You'll get a female voice telling you that that is disengaged. You do have a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is awesome. Previous headsets, I've accidentally seen the mic port and been like, oh, a 3.5mm jack, and then realized I'm jacking myself off. It's really just for the mic port. This actually does let you go wired, which is cool. This is going to be chat game blend, which does work on Xbox. I couldn't get it to work on PlayStation, but what you can do is just go into the settings and do your chat game blend that way on the fly with Game Center or whatever. This is going to be your volume, which is an infinitely scrolling. I kind of wish the volume topped out and bottomed out, but that wouldn't let it be used on multiple platforms. So controls, pretty good. Honestly, everything's on the right ear cup, which I do like, and I would give the overall control layout and functionality of it a 7 out of 10. Now, as far as mods and upgrades are concerned, this is a pretty good headset right out of the box, except for the ear cups, which I will say didn't have much give. They will have a bit of a break-in period. Don't worry about these nuts and bolts. I am working on Project Zero again. As far as head straps go, I did try two options that I found on Amazon, and neither of them really appealed to me. One of them was a decent option if you want to use this headset to work out, which I do not recommend due to the weight and the way that it is distributed. It doesn't clamp with a tight enough pressure to where it stays on your head. So if I lean over to pick something up or even look around quickly in a VR game, this thing moves around, shifts around on my noggin like nobody's business. Because of that, I do not think this would make a good headset for working out. That and the stock ear cups are going to marinate, bake all the heat of those sweet, sweaty ear holes. I do recommend these mesh ear cups from Wicked Cushions. This is going to be linked in the description below. It did not change the sound profile virtually at all. However, there is a killer video from Gadgetry Tech, which I will hopefully link in the description below if I remember. EQ tweakages that counteract the slight change that you get with the aftermarket ear cups. But to be 110% honest with you, sisters and brothers, I didn't really notice any response or accuracy difference by changing the ear cups, which is sick because on a lot of headsets, it's a huge difference, like the Nova Pros. Also, there is clear indicators for the left and right ear cup, and I like that that is on the inside to not foul up the looks on the outside. My aftermarket recommendations are this, just to get the Wicked Cushions, as they do breathe with this mesh material, and it does feel like a cooling effect when you first put it on, but then you also have this leatherette sealed section, so it actually does seal in and out sounds like a typical leatherette pad, so kind of the best of both worlds, a bit of a hybrid. Now, the head strap up top is the stock leather one, which is held on with these nice metal posts, and you do have a decent amount of adjustment here, and you can also go where it's not symmetrical. Maybe you have these bottom row and then the middle row over there, and that does kind of cock the headset at a little bit of an angle on your head, but not really enough to notice, and that might be what you have to do to get the headset to fit perfectly, as there is not a whole lot of flex or give with this leather head strap, which does look, feel, and smell phenomenal. The aftermarket strap that I thought was okay was a silicone joint, which is easier to clean, but it actually made the comfort and adjustability worse, so why pay to downgrade? Damn, I just kind of realized that these almost match the space gray MacBook Pro BMW M3 over here. Sick looking. Pretty much unarguably the most important part of a headset. How does it sound? Well, actually, comfort is the most important. What the hell is that? Were you licking there or something? That's gross. You look guilty as all sin. I somewhat alluded to it in the last segment or section, but this is not the most comfortable headset due to the weight popping up on screen here, and also the distribution of weight doesn't have very much clamping force, at least for my small head, and not much adjustment with that leather head strap. Yeah, you have those pegs in there. There's no real flex or give with the leather in comparison to other suspension head straps like Rig, which gives you a ton of adjustment. As far as audio quality, I distinctly remember the first couple days when I picked up the Odyssey. It wasn't on this version, it was the PS5 version, but it was like I was listening to music for the first time. It does still give you that overall general experience that planar magnetic drivers will give you, which eerily enough you also do get from the Pulse Elite headset, which is insane. That'll be reviewed soon. But to break it down in normal layman's terms for the layman's, this headset's best use, in my personal opinion, is actually in multimedia, so just listening to YouTube videos, watching movies, listening to music. And for gaming, I'd give it about a 7 out of 10 because it had a decent stereo spread, left and right channels. However, it was missing a little bit of verticality, which was surprising because I get that in other cone or dynamic drivers. So you would think that these juicy planars would be able to be freakishly accurate like they can in music and movies, but for some reason in games, it just didn't have that same sense of immersion, even putting on a lot of virtual surround technologies such as Dolby Atmos, DTX, Windows Sonic, which is available on the Xbox, and did make that immersion, that soundstage, a little wider, but still didn't have that same, whoa, I'm there kind of experience that you get with other headsets. But a couple pieces of praise because the headset does deserve it in the audio department. The out-of-the-box sound profile is phenomenal. I would recommend leaving it in the flat, or it'd be called Signature with Turtle Beach, but with Odyssey, I do believe it's just called flat or default, as I do believe that sounded the most natural, organic, and the best, for lack of a better word. But the EQ makes a huge difference on this headset, so when you actually tweak those multiple bands, it does make a notable difference. So you can really fine-tune and tweak for your aftermarket ear cups, and also what you're listening to. The software application is called HQ, or High Quality, or Headquarters, or whatever it stands for. It is available for 4 platforms, 2 kinds of computers, Windows and Mac, 2 kinds of phones, Android and iOS. The application is not too Windows optimized. As you can see, it does not snap to a corner. You cannot pinch and resize. You cannot full screen. The first tab is going to be a summary of everything, basically, showing you your headset's on, the battery percentage. My microphone is currently muted. If it wasn't, it's at full volume. I am connected via the dongle, which is 5.3 Bluetooth, not 2.4 gigahertz, which I really wish they just would have gone with. Side tone. I personally don't like it, so I disable it, but you can engage, disengage it, and adjust the effects of it, or level of it, I should say, on the fly with that wheel. Same thing with the chat game blend. It's on the same dial wheel. You push it in, then you're adjusting side tone, my friend. Double tap it, side tone is off. You can also switch between these sound profiles or presets on the fly, and you will get a nice female voice whispering in your ear. Odyssey, treble boost. Very pleasant. I personally like Odyssey. It's my favorite, hands down. And my least favorite, hands down, is Footsteps, because it definitely replicates superhuman hearing from Turtle Beach, which talked about it previously. I just don't like the way it sounds. It makes the game sound like you're listening through a tin can, a Dixie cup or something at camp with your buddy, all in an effort to get an unfair advantage when you could literally just learn the audio cues of the game. If you ever forget the controls of your headset, this gives you a really useful breakout. And then over here in settings, it will show you your firmware version for the headset and dongle, which do require 2 separate updates. It was the first thing I did when I bought the headset. Auto shutdown, I have it at its lowest, but default I believe is like 15 minutes. I'm gonna crank it back up to there because she's always turning off when I don't want her to. Voice prompts, she'll talk to you sweetly depending on where you set it here. If you screwed something up, factory reset it. And if you have sensitive ear holes, you can set a volume limiter. Interestingly enough, when you come over here to profile, you can see what the software would look like if you bought their other headsets. So this is the control you would have if you got the, Jesus, this is insane. The Mobius. I do want to cover real quick because one of the main features or shticks with this headset is the fact that it uses one of the latest and greatest Bluetooth technologies built into the dongle. So it's actually not a 2.4 gigahertz dongle like you would typically see. I'm going to go ahead and take these off. So it's actually a Bluetooth 5.3 connection. So not a typical 2.4 gigahertz connection. And I was actually really surprised, negatively let down by the fact that I was losing connectivity in my house quite a darn bit. I would walk through a couple of just home walls of drywall, pink insulation and whatever. And my house isn't huge, but just under 1,500 square foot. And I'd go from one side to the other and it'd be cutting out when my Nova Pros, Turtle Beaches, Pulse Elites, a bunch of other headsets with 2.4 gigahertz dongles had rock solid connections. Some of them I can even go out into my front yard. So I was actually pretty let down by that. But if you're in the same room same as your dongle. I didn't have any issues except one time. I don't know if it was just interference from other devices in my room or what, but everything got really robotic. It sounded like T-Pain was singing to me. It was weird. Everything was the remix. The headset does come with an embedded Dolby Atmos license. I have showcased in the past how to engage Dolby Atmos and also shown like a virtual demo of it. If you want to see it, the content's out there. Now, the Xbox version is the only one that comes with a Dolby Atmos license, and it's the only one that works on both console platforms. Battery life and charge time, one of the absolute pros, 80 plus hours of battery life and all day play off 20 minutes with that fast charging, and a full charge takes you about 2 or 3 hours. The drivers, I've been saying planar magnetics the whole video, which of course they are. They're 90 millimeter. That's huge. They do cosmetically also look really sick coiled up in there, like a cobra ready to strike you in the ear. So my verdict or conclusion is kind of going to tie in with the Pulse Elite, considering this on my head here is a gaming headset, and the Pulse Elite is a better gaming headset for half the price. It is more comfortable for most consumers if you just read reviews and people's user experiences. I'm not talking about my neck or my ear holes, although the Pulse Elite is more comfortable for me than the Maxwell. But if you just look around, for most people, the Pulse Elite seems to be a more comfortable headset. That's because it's a lot lighter and the stock ear cups feel like memory foam pillows hugging your ears. Also, the suspension head strap has tons of adjustment. And what really kicks you right in the satchel, the C4 satchel, is the fact that this also rocks planar magnetic drivers. Sony, specifically their gaming division, PlayStation, acquired Audeze, and a lot of that technology is going to bleed over into their PlayStation products. The Pulse Elite absolutely deserves its own comprehensive review on the channel, and it's going to get one. But I am going to conclude by saying that the Maxwell is a better headset for music and movies. And like I said, the first week that I had it, I was so blown away. I think I even made a written post glazing it, sucking it, rightfully so, because it was mind-blowing, eye-opening, and ear-crumpling. But then you get used to it, and then you start opening your eyes to some of the quirks that aren't the best for gaming. The chat game blend doesn't work on PlayStation, and in some cases on Xbox, the integration wasn't the smoothest as well. And for a lot of people, the weight and the way the weight is handled, with the clamping force being low slung with those 90 millimeter drivers and the suspension strap not having much to say on the issue of comfort. Comfort is going to be an issue for a lot of people. For me, if I'm just sitting stationary and not whipping around doing VR or anything, it's not that uncomfortable, but having to say it's not that uncomfortable also means that it's not the most comfortable headset as well. A spring-loaded compliment, if you will. $330 for the Xbox version, which is the one I do recommend due to its Dolby Atmos license and being cross-platform compatible on PlayStation as well. It puts it in line price-wise with the Arctis Nova Pro wireless, which has been my daily driver a long time. And I've reviewed multiple headsets in that time frame, and I always go back to the Nova Pro. In gaming, I actually notice I get a better situational awareness and pinpoint enemies better with the Nova Pro. It is more comfortable, has way more control on the PC side of the house with its software and just onboard controls. A separate control box, which works as a charging dock, so you have a hot swappable battery always charged up and ready to go, basically giving you infinite battery life. The Turtle Beach flagship, I had some complaints, the main one being the controls weren't the most fluid. My opinion has changed a little bit on that headset, doing some EQ tuning and then several updates because it's been out a while now. It's a better headset, but I do still prefer the Nova. So the Maxwell's in a really interesting position because generally planar magnetic drivers don't get shoved into a wireless headset like this, a gaming headset. So a little bit of audio fidelity is sacrificed that the audiophiles will be able to pick out that we normal people with standard ears can't notice or differentiate. And then for gamers, it's a little bit of a heavy headset and very expensive and lacks a little bit of controllability and really does need an aftermarket set of ear cups. So at the end of the day, I'm going to recommend the Pulse Elite if you are on the PlayStation 5. And if you are on the Xbox and PC, Razer and Turtle Beach's mid-range, that $150 to $200 range, is robust and ready to bust right about now. More headset reviews coming in the near future, so make sure you subscribe, and I will see you bucking Broncos, you Stallions and Stallionettes, tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow. I'm not really a daily uploading kind of guy anymore, but soon. I'm getting back on the horse. If you enjoyed the video, liking it helps it to get seen by more gamers, so this information will reach and assist them as well. Much like the back of the TV, I've got plugs for all of my socials down there in the description below. And your wallet will greatly thank you if you check the description, because there are exclusive discounts on a ton of products, including controllers, KontrolFreeks, keyboards, mouse pads, clothes, and energy drinks. And keep in mind that you, the viewer, keep this channel running. The more Stallions and Stallionettes trotting around the stable, the better, so mollywop that subscribe button like it owes you money, and we'll have the same amount of fun tomorrow.